so long to go live. Why is the stream not going live? Come on, stream. Go live. Ooh, I hope so. Come on, stream. And yeah, that should do it. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the stream. Yeah. I hope we're doing well. If we're not doing well, why are we not doing well? What can we do to sort of improve things and put you in the right direction? I don't know, but we do have a little bit of Leeds United news to discuss here today, which should be very, very, very interesting because there's been a couple of little bits that have emerged over the past day or so, so I'm going to cover those. We're going to have a little bit of a chat with the chat, and we'll have a discussion about here, there, everywhere, and everything. But before we do so, let me know how you're doing. Give me a number from 1 to 10 to sort of rate your vibe at the minute. Where are we at? Hopefully I'm seeing plenty of 10s, maybe a few 9s. Anything less than a 7, I'm going to be a little bit sad, but who knows? Anyway, let's have a quick look at the comments, because we're having a little bit of a chat about various bits of transfer news, including the one I've not covered yet, including Silly saying we'll never get this guy. We never told to do deals with Dutch leagues. I don't know what you mean by that, my friend, but I like your thinking. I don't know what your thinking is, so have another go. Good evening there, Michael. Hope you're doing particularly well today. This isn't going to be a very, very long one. I need to get some food in me before 7 aside later, which I might record the video for the morning. 9 divided by 5. Right, that's a 1.8, John. That is not the most, unless it's a 9.5, in which case I can back it. But you never know, unless you've just hit the wrong bit of keyboard. That's what I'm hoping for. But getting into the main bit of news that is being discussed today, we need to have a little bit of a chatter about Casper Dolberg. Because Casper Dolberg is a player that I have seen linked with Leeds United a few times today, and I thought I'd have a little bit of a conversation about him, because he is one of those players that seems to have a decent amount of potential about him, a decent level, and would hopefully be a fairly good addition. Currently 28 years of age, and I'm just going to bring up his numbers so I have a more accurate idea of what we're talking about here, because I don't like to mislead, we all know this. And hopefully everything will be completely fine. But he is currently a centre-forward for Ajax. He plays for Denmark fairly consistently, which is a not bad international side to be playing for, to be completely honest with you. And seems to be another player of a fairly good standard. So if I have a look at his most recent seasons, for example, admittedly, he struggled a little bit last year. 25-26 season at Ajax. He only got about 1,000 minutes because he was very, very injury plagued. The season also involving that, in which he spent a bit of time at Anderlecht. 123 minutes, he got a goal. The last properly full season that he's played was 24-25, where for Anderlecht he got about 31 appearances in him, which is not too bad, and then 18 goals, which is not bad in the slightest. Season before, 15 goals. He's a player that can finish his dinner, which is ultimately what you kind of want when it comes to centre-forwards. If you've not got a centre-forward that can finish chances, then what are we doing here? It's a very, very good question. Thankfully, it looks like Casper Dolberg is that, and thankfully Casper Dolberg is the kind of player that Leeds United could probably benefit from, because the way that he plays and the way that he effectively holds up the ball is very positive. And then you add on to that the fact that he, again, suits the sort of big bastard's job. It's very, very nice, and the question around Dolberg is less, would Leeds be able to sign him? Because I think from a financial perspective, it's fine. He's not going to cost an absolute bomb in terms of finances. Again, he's a 28-year-old that's in the Eredivisie. He's not going to cost a hell of a lot. But it's a question of, does he necessarily want to leave? Because we are going to have the financial might and potentially the pull, because it's the Premier League, to get the move done. But it's a question for me of if he would want to leave Champions League football. And that's where the big question mark sits. But it's a sort of interesting one. In terms of rumours, it's a fairly loosey-goosey one. Casper Dolberg may be very good, but it's not the most concretely linked. I just thought I'd have a little bit of a conversation about it on stream, because I realised I didn't do a video this morning. I thought I'd do something now. That'd be quite good. Also, I've discovered apparently getting things hyped really, really helps video performance. I'm going to ask you guys to do that a little bit more when it comes to videos. But yeah, I'm gonna leave the little bit of Dolberg natter on there because he's very, very, very decent. But we do have other bits to discuss, including Leeds United Former wing star, again, I quite like the guy, but I don't like him as much as some others do. Largie Ramazani. Largie Ramazani is very, very clearly a talented footballer. We all know that this is the case. If he wasn't a talented footballer, he wouldn't be backflipping his way across a football pitch. However, he doesn't fit within the current Leeds United shape or system or squad. The reason for this is if you have a look throughout and sort of... Hold on 1 second, I just need to make sure that something is sorted. Why is that broken? Sorry, I'm having a little bit of a tech issue with the stream, so I'm going to try and solve it on my phone, just because that can often make things a bit easier. Right. That shouldn't be like that. But it seems like it is, so that's fine. Okay. Anyway, right, back to it. Sorry, a little bit of a tech problem. So, aside from Dolberg, Ramazani, we know that he's probably going to leave. When it comes to looking at the wingers that we've got in the squad, it is Okafor, it is Nonto, we've seen Aronson playing over Ramazani in the past, and we probably would continue to see Aronson playing over Ramazani this season. And we've got the fact that Metcha seems to be fairly high in that hierarchy for the left wing position. There is a very, 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 very big question mark around whether Largie would at all play in the event that he were to stay in the squad for the next Premier League season. Personally, I think he absolutely would not be playing football, which would be concerning for him, but sort of fine for us, because it could be significantly worse. Which is where a potential move comes in. Again, right, I'm just going to emphasise, I'm not going to be streaming for too long right now, because I have an absolutely chaotic evening. But, where the hell was I? There the hell was I. Valencia seem to have an interest, but Valencia have an interest at a set price point. Their set price point seems to be a little bit lower than the price point that we are looking at him for, because we're apparently looking for somewhere in the 12 to 15 million pound range. Valencia, being a La Liga club, there's not a lot of money in La Liga, let's be honest here. Especially when the bottom, 12 teams of La Liga could have gone down last season, including Valencia. It's not really a situation where they're going to be willing to throw a hell of a lot of cash around purely because they can. Because they can't. That's not the situation that they are in. Which means that there is a big valuation gap. However, thankfully, Leeds are also looking at some other folks that might want to have a little bit of a move. So, various clubs, including in the Championship. I've heard little bits from La Liga that aren't Valencia, maybe a little bit of Bundesliga. There's a lot of sides that have an interest in a winger that is a little bit flary, that's got a little bit of movement to him, that spices things up a bit, and that is where Ramazani fits in very, very nicely. Which says that we can potentially spark up one of those... the tasty little bidding wars that we like to make happen from time to time. Admittedly, they're not always the most common, but in the event that we can force a bidding war over Largie Ramazani, then we can be incredibly happy and make sure that we can get a decent amount of cash. David McTaff says, I was hoping for 8 million for Largie at best and just want him moved on. I'm not in a place where I necessarily want him moved on, because that feels a little bit sort of harsh and pokey. I'm more in a position of it would be beneficial for all parties if he were to get a move. It's less of a I don't want him here, and more of a he's not going to be playing anyway. He can probably just squidge along, because realistically, Largie, you're not going to be playing for Leeds going forwards. We wouldn't particularly benefit from him going forwards either. I don't think it's a situation that suits anybody, and if we can get a decent amount of cash out of him, then we can also fund some of the actually necessary moves that we are potentially looking at in the season ahead, which would be quite nice. Wayne's World of Rock Music says, I'd like to see Ramazani given a chance. I like his style and ambition. I think the issue with Largie, and this is one that seemingly was echoed when he was out underway on loan, was that he potentially doesn't quite have... I don't want to resort to stereotypes. But not stereotypes, that's the wrong one. Cliches, that's the word. Sorry, that's a very, very bad miswording. I don't want to resort to cliches, but it's more of a sort of, he's not quite got that dog in him, as the youth tend to say, in that he doesn't seem to have that sort of work ethic and the level of training and oomph and passion putting into everything that a lot of bosses like now. Because it's understandable that managers want that, because they want their players to be absolutely smashing it every single day that they possibly can. And in the event that they are not doing that, then the team is vastly missing out. And from what's been heard, Largie is apparently not the best of trainers, which would make sense because we've seen Daniel Farker in the past has a tendency to give more opportunities, more minutes, more everything to the players in his squads that give absolutely everything they can during training, during like pretty much warm-ups and all that kind of crap. It's more of a sort of, have you got the drive that is necessary to be a part of this team, than it is you're just going to get given this because the eye test is good. Because realistically, the eye test can be fine, but if the eye test is fine, then that doesn't mean that you can do it week in, week out, because the way that you are able to do that week in, week out is by training lots and by performing against various opponents in that sort of training situation. And when that doesn't happen, which is seemingly what the case is with Largie Ramazani, things sort of drop off a little bit, which is a shame, because I like his personality, I like the vibe that he brings to the squad, but we can't necessarily bring passengers if they're not adding a ton. So Largie Ramazani, for example, I don't know if he counts to a homegrown quota. I don't know if he trained for 3 years or so before the age of, is it 18 or 21? I don't know. But I don't know if he's homegrown, which means that he doesn't bring that, which means that for someone like a, people will point to Byram and be like, is he not luggage? And it's like, well, kinda, yeah, but at the same time, he at least fills that squad spot. Same for Alex Cairns. It's an interesting one where a lot of people won't support the sale of Largie Ramazani, but will at the same time go, we can't be Sentiment FC. Like, well, you're sort of speaking out against yourself here, because anyone that is saying that we need Largie is mainly doing so based on the back of vibes. Because yeah, he performed reasonably well when we were in the Championship, essentially clubbing seals that were not at our level. Whereas in the Premier League, you're against sides that are above your level. You're trying to punch above your weight, and I don't realistically think that's something that Largie is good at. He's the kind of guy that will beat like a couple of defenders that are worse than he is, and look really, really good in the Championship. But outside of that, you look at the Premier League and you go, all right, he's against 2 players still. However, they are Premier League standard right backs and a Premier League standard central midfielder that's come back to help out. Like, realistically, how is Largie Ramazani going to do against Ben White playing at right back and Declan Rice who's helping him out? I don't think he does well. So I think it's a case of the money will be more valuable to Leeds United now than Largie Ramazani is, which is, again, a bit of a pain. It's not what we want to hear, but it's something that I think that we need to hear. But also, yes, please do like and subscribe and do the thing. That would be appreciated. Thank you very much. And also, hype, because that's the thing. Except don't do that on video. No, don't do that on videos. I've got a plan. My plan, basically, is that at some point I'm going to ask everyone to hold on to their hype things for like a week. And I'm going to do a video. I'm going to be like, now, everyone just piles in. And I want to see what happens. Because I know that hyping a video helps it, but I don't know why or how. So I'm going to have a dive into all the sort of information there, which should be quite nice. We'll see. NetJets flight landed at 3:28. NetJets is a... That's very interesting, because NetJets is one of the private airlines that we use a hell of a lot. Hopefully, then, that might mean something. I don't know if it will, but it'd be quite good if it did. Because it'd be nice if Leeds could just get a move done without it being overly reported by absolutely everybody. If we could make a move that not everyone has predicted, it would be wonderful and jazzy and fun and fine, but we'll see. Silly, I don't know why we're still having this conversation. It's fine, leave it. Doesn't matter too much. I will now have a look myself, but I am absolutely certain that it will not, in fact, be bollocks. Let's have a look. Earlier flights. Yep, Amsterdam landed at 3:38. Was due to land, not 3:28. Sorry, was due to land at 3:32. So there. We will not be having any more of that, and that will be fine. When are Leeds flying into Dublin? When is it Leeds are flying into Dublin? Because that could be a fun fly along. Let's go to Leeds Bradford. Let's go to departures. Oh, God. Right, realistically, it's not going to be Ryanair. It could be Ryanair. It could be Aer Lingus. I don't know. I just don't read anything till Romano says it. Yeah, but that's because Romano's full of crap. Who's coming in from Amsterdam? Nobody knows. Leeds are already in Dublin. I saw a video this morning. Ah, that's a shame. I was going to potentially do a fly along. That's fine. I'll be honest, I've been struggling to keep fully track recently, but that's fine. Anyway, I'm not going to stream for too much longer, mainly because I cannot, because I'm quite a busy boy this evening. So I'm going to leave that there. If you enjoyed this relatively short stream, I'd usually appreciate you popping a like on it. Subscribe if you haven't yet as well, that'd be lovely. Or become a channel member, that's quite cool too. You get videos early and stuff like that. What striker who we are after? It is reportedly Casper Dolberg, who plays for Ajax. Had a pretty stinking season last year, but has a lot of potential from a technical standpoint, which is hopefully quite good. If we could get that one done, that would be nice, but not really an essential one. There's also been a bit of chat around Pajau, but I might cover that in a video in the morning. We will see. Anyway, I've got a dip. Like and comment and subscribe, and don't hype. Specifically, don't hype. Don't go hyping people, because I want to see if I can break YouTube. Anyway, I'm going to leave that there. Hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all later. Outro music. This is the outro. Outro music. It's outro music. Outro music. Ba 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 da da da. Ba ba da 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 ba da da da. Boom 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 boom. Bye. Sly, no, I'm not staying. Toodaloo.